From the friendly confines of Wrigley Field on a cold and damp late April evening, and it's Cubs washed cap night. First 10,000 adults through the turnstiles getting a Cubs cap. We're set for Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. The Rockies are in. It's the first of a 3-game series. Hi again, everyone. With Bob Brenly, I'm Len Casper. The wind is blowing straight in off the lake. Pretty damp and cold tonight, but hopefully we will avoid the rain. The Cubs 3-3 on this homestand, and tonight features two of the best shortstops in the game today.
Well, Troy Tulowitzki's been doing it for 5 years before this season. Starlin Castro, relatively new to the major leagues, but these two guys are going to be the standard bearer at that position in the National League for a long time. The one major difference you see right now, Tulowitzki hits for more power. We all think that Starlin Castro will develop major league power.
Right-hander Matt Garza will go for the Cubs tonight. 4 starts without a win, but the last time out was by far his best outing.
Yeah, had his best stuff, had his best command. He shut out the Padres over 6 strong innings, striking out 9 Padre hitters. A very cold afternoon here at Wrigley Field, and really used his fastball to full effect in that game.
Cubs have only given him 1 run in support over his last 3 outings. They were shut out on April 15th at Coors Field, but he'll try to turn the tables tonight. Right-hander Esmail Rogers is facing the Cubs for the first time in his career, coming off a pretty rough one against the Giants.
Yeah, had back-to-back wins to start the season. He's a 4-pitch guy. None of them are exceptional. He really has to have good command to be effective.
Rockies are 8-3 on the road, but the Cubs have beaten them, 11 of the last 12 meetings here at Wrigley Field. So tonight features two of the best at their position. Troy Tulowitzki, an MVP candidate for the Rockies, and young Starlin Castro at 21. Has become the Cubs' best player at an early age.
By your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. 75 years of being right here in Illinois means no one's closer to your wellness. Experience wellness everywhere. Subway. Every day at Subway, choose from many delicious regular footlong subs for just $5. Subway. Eat fresh. Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today, or go to shophonda.com and find great values on a new Honda. AT&T U-verse. Find out more of what's possible at att.com. AT&T. Rethink possible. And by Southwest Airlines' new Rapid Rewards. Unlimited reward seats and no blackout dates.
Well, a light mist, wind blowing in off the lake tonight. But we're set for Game 7 of this 9-game homestand, all against the National League West. The Cubs winning 2 of 3 against the Padres before dropping 2 of 3 over the weekend to the LA Dodgers. The Rockies lost a series in Florida, but still 8-3 on the road, and kind of amazing to consider they haven't won a start by their ace, Ubaldo Jimenez, and Carlos Gonzalez is hitting .228. They still have the second best record in the league.
Well, the Rockies, especially on offense, have a lot of weapons other than Carlos Gonzalez. We talked about Troy Tulowitzki in the open of the show. They've got a number of other guys in this lineup and on this roster that are capable of producing. Todd Helton having somewhat of a bounce back year for the veteran, hitting .315. And Dexter Fowler, their leadoff hitter at the top, is he's an instigator. If he gets on base, he can make things happen. So they feel that when they get Carlos Gonzalez going, they can put some distance between themselves and the rest of that Western Division.
Let's check out the umpires in his 19th year. Angel Hernandez will work the plate tonight. Paul Schreiber, Chad Fairchild, and the crew chief Joe West around the bases. Just a couple minutes late when Matt Garza starts. He has a very specific routine before he takes the field. And here's the Rockies Southwest starting lineup written out by former Cub Jim Tracy. Dexter Fowler in center, off to a very good start. Jonathan Herrera has grabbed that second base job. We mentioned Cargo struggling, but he always hits the Cubs. Troy Tulowitzki at short, Todd Helton at first, Seth Smith is in right. Then you have some guys hitting under 200. Lopez, Iannetta, and the pitcher Rogers.
Take a look at the Cubs defensively tonight. We'll go with Soriano, Bird, and Fukudome across the outfield, left to right. Jeff Baker getting the start at third base tonight for Aramis Ramirez. Starlin Castro once again at shortstop, along with Darwin Barney at second base. Carlos Pena will be at first base tonight. Giovanni Soto doing the catching for our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher, Matt Garza. You may recall after his first couple starts of the season, Matt Garza was saying that that's not the kind of pitcher that he is. He felt he was throwing too many off-speed pitches, too many breaking pitches, was going to rely more on his bread and butter fastball, and used it to great effect against the Padres last time out, shutting them out over 6 innings, struck out 9, walked 3 in that game.
Well, the Cubs obviously have been the epitome of inconsistency, consistently inconsistent. They haven't won more than 2 in a row. They haven't lost more than 2 straight. Keeping the theme of the season, 3-3 on the homestand, 10-11 overall. And Bob, if we had to pinpoint one particular area, I think you have to start with the pitching. Cubs with a 5.15 earned run average, second to last in the majors. The starters at 6.03. That's the worst among all starting rotations. The Cubs have always prided themselves on their pitching, and we expect the track records to come through, but I think everybody realizes it's got to be a lot better.
No question about it, Len. You know, when we broke camp down in Arizona, I think everybody felt that the strength of this team was going to be their pitching. The question was, could they score enough runs and could they catch the ball? Well, the big three at the top of the rotation, with a few exceptions, haven't pitched very well. Certainly when the Cubs have had a lead late and can go to Marshall, Wood, and Marmol to finish it up, they've been very successful when you can get to those guys in the bullpen. But pretty much up and down the pitching staff, a lot of room for improvement.
Carlos Zambrano had a rough first inning yesterday before settling down. The problem is it was 5-0 before he did settle down. He gave up one more run over the next 4 innings of work, but suffered his first loss in his last 11 decisions going back to mid-August of 2010. And here is switch hitting Dexter Fowler to start it. Game-winning 2-run double off Marcos Mateo in the 3rd game of that series at Coors Field, allowing the Rockies to win 2 of 3. Corner men in. As the right-hander Garza is ready to work. And a called strike. Fastball at 90 miles an hour from the 27-year-old Matt Garza. 6'4", 215 pounds, born in Selma, California. Came over from Tampa Bay in January, 0-2.
Well, one thing we've seen throughout this homestand, Len, when the conditions are as they are tonight with that wind blowing straight in, bitterly cold, a lot of moisture on the field right now. Challenge the opposition with fastballs. We saw Garza do it against the Padres, a lot of high heaters just like that one to Dexter Fowler. Dare them to hit the ball in the air to the outfield.
43 degrees and the wind out of the northeast blowing straight in from center. 9 miles an hour. 1-2 pitch. Shank foul. Both teams did hit on the field, but it pretty much rained throughout batting practice.
That was a very light mist, but it was a very steady mist. For the better part of 2 hours, this field took on quite a bit of moisture, but the grounds crew under the direction of Roger Baird has it in playable condition, and I'm, to be honest with you, quite shocked we're getting started on time.
Another 1-2. Curveball dropped off the table and dipped out of the strike zone. 2-2. According to the Cubs game notes going into tonight, the average game time temperature at home so far this season 47 degrees, and again just 43 tonight. Full count on Dexter Fowler. Another switch hitter. Jonathan Herrera is on deck. We will do it again. Well, you hope the Rockies are uncomfortable with this weather. It was about 85 every day where they were over the weekend in Florida. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. He has been the premier strikeout pitcher in baseball, leading everybody with almost 12.5 per 9 innings.
And that's a good number, but unfortunately it leads to a bad number. High pitch counts. Matt Garza had to throw 8 pitches to retire the Rockies' leadoff hitter. He's thrown at least 106 pitches in every start so far this season.
Jonathan Herrera, the second baseman, takes a curve for a strike. You can make a very strong comparison between Jonathan Herrera and Darwin Barney. Herrera went into spring training looking to be the #1 utility guy on the roster, and now he's the Rockies' main starting second baseman. Oh-2 on the way. Ground ball to the shortstop, Starlin Castro. You can follow all of tonight's stats and info in real time with Cubs in-game live only at csnchicago.com. Brought to you by Honda. Darwin Barney, I mean, going into spring training, there was no guarantee he was going to make the opening day roster. Well, he was the opening day starter at second base. Carlos Gonzalez won the batting title last year. He's hitting just .228. He is 0 for his last 17, but he has hit .511 in 11 career games against the Cubs. Bounces that one foul to first.
And that last pitch is probably the major reason that Carlos Gonzalez is struggling in the early going this season. That pitch was away from him, moving further away, and he reached out. That ball's off the plate away, and he's trying to pull it. I mean, this is a guy that has power to all fields. For me, last year, he was just a good hitter who happened to have power. This year, it looks like he's trying to hit for more power and finds himself in that hole right now at .228 going into play tonight.
Had a big 4-hit game against the Cubs a week ago yesterday. And the 0-2 got him. On the curveball for strike 3. The Rockies come up empty. The Cubs are coming up. pinned by Mike Quade. Kosuke leads off. Darwin Barney at second. Is Starlin Castro at short. Jeff Baker in the cleanup spot. Aramis Ramirez just getting a day off for the first time this year. Pena, Bird, Soriano in the 7th spot. And then the battery of Giovanni Soto and Matt Garza.
Take a look at the Rockies defensively tonight. Carlos Gonzalez in left, Dexter Fowler in center, Seth Smith over in right field. Across the infield, it'll be Lopez, Tulowitzki, Herrera, and Helton, third to first. Chris Iannetta doing the catching tonight for right-hander Esmiel Rogers. Rogers spent the first 3 years of his professional career as a middle infielder with the Rockies. Hit .209, struck out 156 times in 494 at-bats, so they turned him into a pitcher.
It's been a week since his last start. We mentioned in the open it did not go well against the Giants. Since then, Ubaldo Jimenez, the ace, has started twice after coming off the DL. Missed the outside corner on Fukudome. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You'll see 2 different fastballs from Rogers, a 2-seam sinker and a 4-seamer that stays pretty straight, a curveball, a slider, straight changeup. And according to the pitch charts, for his first 3 outings of this 2011 season, almost exclusively working away from both right-handers and left-handers.
2-1 on Fukudome, who has a 7-game hitting streak. 3-1. He has hit .444 with a .559 on base average as a leadoff hitter. 3-2. Rogers facing the Cubs for the first time, so this is his Wrigley Field debut. And that's smacked in the left for a base hit. So Kosuke now with an 8-gamer.
Stay hot, Kosuke. Took that 2-seam fastball away from him, stayed right on it. Line drive into left field in front of Carlos Gonzalez. You know, we say this all the time, Len, because of the weather conditions and the way the wind is blowing here at Wrigley, that we anticipate both teams to play for an early run. It just doesn't appear to be the kind of night where you're going to be able to put 5, 6, 7 runs on the board. Every run is going to be vitally important. We'll see how Mike Quade chooses to play it early here tonight.
Barney with 9 hits over his last 5 games and working on a 4-game RBI streak. See Starlin Castro, background, hitting third tonight. Quick throw to first. They almost got Fukudome.
That was another thing in the scouting report on Rogers. Quick feet. Didn't have a really good pickoff move, but was very athletic, had quick feet. You can see he threw on the way up that time. Got his sign from his catcher, Chris Iannetta, and delivered the pickoff throw as he was coming up to a set position.
Barney tried the sneak attack, and he foul tipped the bunt attempt 0-2.
And normally I'd say that's a good idea, but with Todd Helton playing first base, it's tough to get a bunt down to that right side. You may be able to advance Fukudome on to second base, but tough to bunt for a base hit against this Rockies team.
Two on the way, Tapper foul. Cubs have been piling up their hits, hitting .282 as a team. Only the Cardinals among all major league teams have hit for a higher average, but Cubs are 11th in the NL at .243 with runners in scoring position. That's why the runs scored don't seem to really match the on base and slugging. That's very deep to left for Darwin Barney. Gone! Oh. His first career home run.
Like I said, Len, a great night to hit tonight. Probably be a lot of runs scored. Probably the least likely candidate in this Cubs lineup to hit a home run, but he picked on a breaking ball right in the middle of the plate and just tucks it into the basket for his first homer. Make sure you touch all the bases, young man. There you go. Congratulations to Darwin Barney.
Castro bounces one to Herrera, who throws him out. That's the first out. How about Darwin Barney?
Well, we've talked about him before. He has sneaky power. If you watch batting practice here at Wrigley Field on a daily basis, he'll wait until the last round or two, and then he'll muscle up and try to hit some balls into bleachers in left field. And even with the wind blowing in throughout this homestand, he gets his share of balls tucked up there in the left field bleachers, but that's not his game plan going to the plate. He's just trying to hit the ball hard wherever it's pitched.
Only 10 minor league home runs over 4 seasons. But he's in the book. Former Rocky Jeff Baker has been hot. Mike Quaddy gets him into the lineup and gives Ramirez the night off. So only Starlin Castro now has played in every game for the Cubs. In fact, Castro has started every game for short. We still could see Aramis as a pinch hitter later. Two-one offering. That one pounded on the ground back up the middle on a pitch that was up. Third hit of the inning.
Len, whether it's fair or not, I think Jeff Baker incorrectly got labeled as strictly a platoon player last year. We've seen him have some really good at-bats against right-handed pitching in the early going this season, and continues that stretch with a hard ground ball right back up the middle for a base hit.
We just had a shot of Baker chatting with his former teammate. Got to tell a quick story. I was talking with Jeff last week when we were in Denver about Todd Helton. He said Todd's a guy who doesn't talk to runners when they get to first base. I always knew that when I was with the Rockies. He said the first time we play against them, I get to first base. And I figured Todd's not going to talk to me, so I don't say anything. And after a couple of pitches, Helton goes, "So what's the deal? You're not going to talk to me?" I guess he makes an exception for a former teammate. 2 balls, no strikes on Carlos Pena. So I guess, Bob, he's no Sean Casey.
No, I was just going to say some first basemen never stop talking down there when they get somebody on base. John Kruk used to be that way with the Philadelphia Phillies and San Diego Padres. You mentioned Sean Casey. They love to have company down there at first base.
See the rain starting to come down just a little harder. This is definitely the kind of night you want to have a lead going into the middle innings. No guarantee we'll get through 9 with the weather forecast. That drops low to make it 3-1.
Well, I was told before the ball game by a member of the grounds crew they think there'll just be light showers possibly throughout the evening. The heavier rain not expected until well after this game should be over, but that persistent mist that we've had to deal with pretty much all day here in Chicagoland continues to fall here at Wrigley.
Ball 4. That'll bring up Bob Apodaca, the Rockies pitching coach. Tickets are selling quickly, but there's still time to get great seats for the 2011 season. Bleacher seats are still available as well. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Call 1-800-THE-CUBS or visit the Wrigley Field box office. Well, the weather not keeping the bleacher crowd from coming out tonight. Very well represented.
And the majority of them were here for batting practice. Sat through that misty rain that we talked about for the better part of 2 hours and getting to watch a big league ball game in the rain.
Strike on Marlon Byrd. He's looking for his first home run. I'm sure they all came prepared tonight. I'm sure there are a few 20-something guys out there wearing t-shirts. Just the way it is.
Well, they're usually
tough guy.
Usually a couple of them. They want to show how tough they are.
There you go. We knew it wouldn't take long.
He's probably even taking his shoes off. He's a little warm out there tonight.
Veteran right next to him saying, really? Really? The kick and the 1-1. Oh, 2-1. That's more like it. I will say this, with the wind blowing in, the fans in the bleachers are somewhat protected from the wind, but not the rain. Fouled off, and it's 2-2. A little rain gear and a little winter cap action too. I think the giveaways have come at the perfect time. That winter glove, winter scarf night last week, and tonight the Cubs washed cap. In some ways kind of going through the wash tonight. 2 on, 2 in, and here comes a 2-2 pitch. It's full, 3-2.
Hey fans, watch Comcast Sportsnet game replays on demand with Xfinity TV from Comcast. Don't miss the action. Call 1-800-XFINITY today.
Do not try that at home.
No.
Very, very careful. Sir, I don't think that's going to keep you very dry. That's just my opinion.
He picked up his
wrap.
dry cleaning on the way to the ballpark. Just happened to have that in the back seat.
Runners go on the 3-2, ball 4 to load him up. Rogers has not gotten comfortable yet. That's pretty obvious.
No, and you know, I looked at the scouting report on Rogers before the ball game today, and it said he was pitching scared, really just trying to nibble around the edges of the strike zone, throwing a lot of breaking pitches, a lot of off-speed pitches, very rarely challenging hitters on the inside part of the plate. And so far, that's pretty much what we've seen.
Soriano drives it to right. Seth Smith coming over to make the catch. And the Cubs will get their third run of the inning as Jeff Baker scores. Sac fly for Soriano's 15th RBI.
Catcher number 18,
Well, you know, he would have liked to have cashed in some more of those runners, but got a high fastball on the first pitch. Knew he could lift that pitch in the air. It happened to be to right field to Seth Smith, and the Cubs take a 3-0 lead on that sac fly.
Now Giovanni Soto hitting 8th. Pena, the runner at third, Bird is at first. And the 1-0 pitch is a called strike, 1-1. Cubs starting the night a game under 500 and in 4th in the Central, a game and a half back of St. Louis. The Rockies are 3 up on the Dodgers in the West, 1-2. The Cubs have faced the West already more times than 3 of the teams in that division. Rockies have only played 7 games against the West. The Cubs playing in their 13th. Lifted in the air, left center. It's Dexter Fowler to make the grab, and that's the inning. But Darwin Barney with his first major league home run, a 2-run shot into the basket and left. Cubs would add one later on a sac fly, and it's 3-0. To complete a historic comeback in Game 7 of their series. It all comes down to this. Blackhawks Canucks Game 7. The Hawks have won 3 in a row. Tomorrow night, 8:30 on Comcast Sportsnet Plus, fans' best friend. What a game last night. Overtime thriller. Three 3-0, the Cubs getting the early lead for Matt Garza. Good to see him get some run support as he shoots for his first win as a member of the Cubs. We play through the rain as Troy Tulowitzki will start it. Todd Helton and Seth Smith also due up this inning. In there for a strike. Tulowitzki with 7 home runs. That's tied for the major league lead. '99 career home runs for Tulowitzki. Stay at 99, but he's going to reach. An error on Starlin Castro on a pretty routine play.
Well, that's kind of been a story with Starlin Castro's miscues. They usually come on the most routine of plays. Just waited for that last hop. It came up a little more than he anticipated and got him in the heel of the glove. No chance to recover.
Brings up Todd Helton. Swings at the first pitch, pops it up, but the wind is going to make it a souvenir. Off to a very good start. Helton has only hit .250 in his career in this ballpark. That's too high. 1-1. Two. This is it. After this series, Cubs and Rockies will not see each other again in the regular season. Todd Helton strikes out. That's number 3 already for Garza.
So far in the early going, Matt Garza has it all working. We've seen some really good over-the-top curveballs. That was a little cut fastball toward the outside part of the plate. Helton swings right through it, and we've also seen him spotting that fastball on both sides of the plate.
Smith, the right fielder. Strike one. In fact, after this next road trip, the Cubs will be done in the season series with the Rockies, the Diamondbacks, and the Dodgers. They've played everybody but the Giants in the West. That is foul, not by much.
It's one of the toughest plays for a first baseman when you're holding a runner on the bag over there at first. As the pitcher delivers the ball to home, you shuffle off the base to try to give yourself a little bit more range, and then when the batter puts the ball right down the first baseline, you've got to change directions, try to get back to the line, and you could clearly see Carlos Pena's right foot gave way, just spun his wheels, couldn't get back to the line. Fortunately, foul ball.
Also foul.
The Rockies tied for the major league lead in road victories so far this season. They've won 8 games on the road. Phillies also with 8 victories. The Anaheim Angels, or rather the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, also have 8 road victories. That was a big part of the reason why the Rockies did not reach the postseason last year.
Up the middle and through as Garza just could not get a glove on it. Tulowitzki will end up at third. That's the first hit for the Rockies. Bob, twice in the Florida series, the Rockies were no hit into at least the 6th inning. Yesterday, they didn't get a hit until the 6th off Josh Johnson. They were one hit on Friday. Anibal Sanchez gave up a leadoff single in the 9th. So they get that first hit in the 2nd tonight.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Dexter Fowler broke up both of the no-hitters with broken bat hits.
Jose Lopez playing third. And he tops one towards his shortstop Castro, and he can't get it out of his glove. So the Rockies get their first run. Lopez would have had an RBI either way, but Castro cannot get the out.
After bobbling the first ball hit directly at him, he took a little extra time, tried to be a little more sure-handed, got the ball into his glove, but couldn't get it out.
That's his second error of the inning.
You know, Lennon, we mentioned that both teams took batting practice on the field today through a constant misty rain. Normally the infield grass is pretty good, even if it's rained all afternoon and the field has been covered. But because both teams hit on the field and it was raining, I would imagine that infield grass is extremely slick right now.
6th error already for Castro. And it's a catcher, Chris Iannetta, who's really been struggling. And back in the lineup after dealing with a mild back strain. And he hits a ground ball in the hole. They'll get none as Castro throws it away. Smith will score. Lopez is going to score. And we are tied. It's been a very rough inning for Starlin Castro as he threw that one away. 3 errors in the inning.
We've seen Castro make errors on routine plays, but this is the kind of play that he normally makes instinctively. I really think that the conditions, the wet grass on the infield, may have had something to do with that one. We've seen him make that underhanded off-balance flip back to Darwin Barney right on the money on numerous occasions this season, but that time threw it out into the bullpen in right field.
And Iannetta all the way to third with a pitcher at the plate and the infield in. A 3-error inning. Second career 3-error game for Castro. 1 strike on Rogers, as Bob mentioned. He is a converted infielder. But a big part of the reason why guys are converted from a position player to the mound is because they struggle at the plate.
Well, struck out nearly 1 out of every 3 at bats in his minor league career. But because he does have previous experience professionally as a hitter, obviously you got to respect the potential.
Broken back grounder. Castro again. Runner holds, and he gets the out.
Rogers shatters his bat on that slider, hit it right off the very end of the bat. Whew. Take a deep breath.
Well, I don't have to tell you, when you have an inning like this, the ball will find you.
Yes, it will.
Breaking ball strike on Dexter Fowler.
The difference is I had an excuse. I wasn't very good. And anybody can make 3 errors in an inning. It takes a special kind of ball player to make 4 in 1 inning.
Oh, 2 to Fowler. And he went around. He has struck out twice tonight and a league leading 29 times this year. It's 3-3. And the Bulls look to close out the first round on home court. Tune in as Chicago aims to finish off the Pacers at the Madhouse on Madison. Don't miss Bulls-Pacers Game 5 tomorrow night at 6:30. Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. 3 unearned runs because of 3 Starlin Castro errors. The most errors by a Cub in an inning since Jamie Navarro committed 3 against Houston back on August 18, 1996. Matt Garza takes a strike. Well, Darwin Barney got his first career home run. Let's see if Matt Garza can pick up his first career hit after beginning his career 0 for 20. Oh-2 on the way, inside, almost hit him. Right-hander coming back, and that is foul. Catcher, Iannetta. Got him that time. Stroll through the home of the Cubs and get an insider's look at more than 97 years of history in this legendary ballpark. Guided tours may include visits to the press box, clubhouses, and dugouts, as well as a chance to actually step onto the field. For more info or to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Tour sizes are limited and sell out fast, so get your tickets today. Kosuke with a single and a run on the Barney homer in the first inning. Two and one. Smile, Bob.
Pizza.
Ground ball ticketed toward right.
tell you what, Len, it may not be an ideal situation with the rotating leadoff hitter, but everybody that Mike Quaddy plugs into that spot just gets on base. Perdomo with a hard ground ball through that right side. Jonathan Herrera with a nice effort, but it skips through into right field for Kosuke's second base hit of the game.
Barney out homering Carlos Pena and Marlon Byrd to this point.
Well, so was Carlos Zambrano for that matter, but a lot of baseball left.
Into right, Smith will get there, and that's the second out. The key is, and we saw this a little bit with Ryan Theriot, is that Darwin Barney doesn't start to think home run. I'm sure that he's being reminded of that every day by his hitting coach.
And I don't think it's necessary. I think Darwin Barney, for being a young player at this level, he understands his own strengths and weaknesses better than anybody else. I think Ryan Theriot got a little carried away and thought he was a 20 to 25 home run guy, and we all know he isn't and wasn't and won't be. When little guys try to hit home runs, opposing pitchers get real happy.
See if Castro can do something special at the plate tonight. Or backhanded. Boy, that was a weird play. We'll get another look at that later by Herrera on a ball hit right to him.
This May, the Chicago Cubs are hosting the second annual fantasy camp right here at Wrigley Field. Join us on May 15th and 16th when 40 participants will receive the most extraordinary game day and on-field experience imaginable. This year's legends include Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, Fergie Jenkins, and many others. Reserve your roster spot today by calling 773-404-4748 or visit Cubs.com/premier.
There's Jonathan Herrera, who made a rather interesting play to end the bottom of the second. He backhanded a ball that essentially was hit right to him. I think he thought it was going to be to his right.
Let me get back to that. Yeah, that ball hydroplaning across the infield there. Herrera backhanded that ball between his legs. It was almost behind him by the time he made the play. Very unusual looking snag by the Rocky second baseman.
But whatever works. Fly ball to left. This is slicing and makes it routine for Soriano.
Well, you know, Len, we talked about it throughout the 3 games against the Dodgers. You want to keep the top 2 guys in the lineup off base as often as possible, because you know at some point Carlos Gonzalez is going to bust out, and certainly Troy Tulowitzki is he's a hitting streak waiting to happen in that on-deck circle. So the ability to get those first 2 guys, Fowler and Herrera, is going to be huge in this 3-game series.
Look how, man, oh man, I don't know if I've ever seen a bat go that far. Sign him up for the Olympics.
Oh. Tremendous carry.
Hammer throw. The one where they spin around and everybody's all right down there. Joe West, the third base umpire, in chatting with Matt Garza briefly. Not sure just buying some time or what, but Joe is the crew chief.
Well, we had a little delay anyway as Carlos Gonzalez got another bat ready to complete this at bat.
There's a pitch. Darwin Barney. Gonzalez is 0 for 2.
It's time, Len, for our Xfinity high-speed action. First base coach Glenn Allen Hill as a member of the Cubs back on May 11th, 2000 against the Brewers. Oh, my. He hits a ball in the building across the street. It was estimated at 490 feet, but I don't think there's any way. It was less than 500 feet. Just a titanic blast by Glenn Allen Hill.
Steve Woodard.
You know, the funny thing is people that, and there's the building right there. Rooftops are empty tonight. They're probably afraid Glenn Allen Hill was going to hit again or something. I don't know. Anybody who saw Glenn Allen Hill take batting practice in any ballpark in the major leagues probably saw him hit a ball further than that. He used to put on the most unbelievable displays in batting practice.
Garza's throw dug out by Pena for the 3rd out. A quick 8-pitch 3rd for Matt Garza. Know a newborn Cubs fan? The Newborn Fan Club is the perfect gift to showcase what it means to be a Cub for life. Receive a customized photo announcing the birth on the Wrigley Field marquee, a Cubs birth certificate, a Cubs baby stocking cap, and a Cubs Rookie of the Year onesie. Perfect for parents and friends alike. Visit Cubs.com for more info and to sign up today. 1-1 the count on Jeff Baker. Single and a run his first time up against his former team. He goes back up the middle again for a base hit. And it's 2 for 2. Just a carbon copy of what he did his first time up.
I mean, that's a good sign against a right-handed pitcher to stay on that ball and drive it back up the middle of the field. Occasionally Jeff got into some problems when facing right-handed pitching last year by being too pull conscious. Kept that shoulder in there nicely that time, drove it right back up the middle of the field.
Pena walked in the first. Still has not been able to put together a nice long stretch. Hitting streak. A couple of home runs over 3 days. Hasn't hit a home run yet, in fact.
He's hit a couple balls that would have left the ballpark under normal conditions. Of course, what are normal conditions here at Wrigley? Both times he drove the ball once to right center, once to left center, just got knocked down by the wind. I think I'm going to grow a beard next spring just to have an extra layer for the early part of the season. Plus it'll coincide nicely with next year's Blackhawks run to the playoffs. See, I love it when a plan comes together.
Outside, 1-1. I'm guessing you could catch up to that guy in about 4 or 5 days. I don't think it would take you very long.
Justin Bird, maybe. It'd take me a long time.
Justin Bird could catch up by 11 o'clock tonight. Pop fly left field, and it's Gonzalez underneath. Phil Umber, a right-hander with the White Sox, had no-hit the Yankees into the bottom of the 7th. A-Rod just broke it up with a base hit to center, so it's 1-0 White Sox in the 7th. White Sox have lost 10 of 11. They had a 23-inning scoreless streak, but got a run in the 4th. Bird slices it foul out of play, 0-2 for the Cubs center fielder. Toronto's in Texas. Rangers coming off a weekend sweep over Kansas City. They are scoreless in the 4th inning. A's and Angels later tonight. Gio Gonzalez against 5-0 Jared Weaver. Boston just swept the Angels in a 4-game series.
If Jared Weaver would happen to win that start tonight, he will get one more start in the month of April. He could conceivably go 7-0 in the month of April.
Wouldn't that be something?
Wow.
the start Ubaldo Jimenez got off to last year, but he is without a win. Spent some time on the DL with a cracked cuticle on his thumb. Then is 0-1 with a 6.75 through 3 starts. The Cubs won't face him at all this year.
Darn. Take your breaks where you can get them.
A little bit outside. 2-2 to Bird. Rain has pretty much stopped at this point.
See Iannetta holding that pitch. Why? Clearly off the strike zone away and a little bit up.
Cubs out hitting the Rockies 5-1, but 3 errors by Starlin Castro in the second, helping the Rockies get 3 unearned runs to tie it up. That was very close. 3-2.
Well, late breaking slider trying to work its way back to that inside corner. Kind of froze Marlon Byrd right there. You may notice Chris Iannetta caught that ball way down toward the heel of his glove. That pitch on the inside corner, if you're going to catch it with your palm up, you try to catch it in the webbing to make your glove appear to be in the strike zone.
Runner goes on the 3-2. Diving attempt by Lopez, can't get it. It's a base hit. Baker has to stop at second.
To come back to that same slider. This one stays even further inside, but Marlon Byrd's ready for it and shoots it down that third base area past Jose Lopez.
Soriano hit a sac fly to right to drive in his 15th run. Soriano leads the team in home runs and RBIs. 6 homers, 15 knocked in. Regulars leads the club in slugging. Came in at .513. 1 strike to count. You're on TV. 0-1 to Soriano. 2 on, 1 down in the third. That's low. Cubs getting a little break for the upcoming series. Willie Bloomquist, who had been filling in for Stephen Drew at short. When Drew came back, Bloomquist started to play a lot of left. Well, he has been put on the disabled list with a hamstring injury. He will not participate in that 4-game series this weekend against the Cubs. Ground ball, Lopez. Underhand toss. Boy, dangerous flip there to Herrera at second base, and they get 1. So Bird forced 2 down in the inning.
We have seen some unusual looking defensive plays from the Rockies in the early going. Jose Lopez with about a 45-foot underhanded toss to get the force at second. I wonder if he thought there were 2 outs in the inning.
It kind of had that feel. You know, I notice he has a 2-tone glove down at third base. And he used to play with the Mariners. Looks like he's still got his Mariner color glove, which is no big deal. Just Doesn't necessarily fit with the purple.
Might cost him a few bucks in kangaroo court.
You see the webbing's got that teal look, which fits in nicely as a Mariner. Now, as a pitcher, I don't think he could wear that glove, right?
No. Pitcher's glove has to be one color. It can be all teal, or all red, or all blue, but it has to be the same color.
Sliders low, 2-0 rather on Soto, with the pitcher Garza on deck. Outside 3-0. Do you consider the green light?
I definitely would in this situation. Chances are Rogers is going to try to pitch Gio away.
He does.
And there's a big hole on that right side of the infield. If you can guess on a pitch on the outer third or further away and get out there and hit it to the right side, roll it through for a base hit and an RBI, but it was so far away Gio couldn't even think about it.
So Rogers has now walked 3 as he faces Garza, who's struck out in the second. Only one strikeout for Rogers. It was that second inning punch out, and he's going to work from the windup with the bases loaded. Late swing and a bouncer foul to Bobby Dernier at first. Two singles and a walk to load him up here in the inning. Chop to Herrera. Got a candy hop, and he'll run it halfway to Helton before tossing the rest of the load. They leave him loaded. The Cubs have stranded 6 through 3.
This fourth inning is brought to you by Fourth Meal from Taco Bell, open 1 a.m. or later.
We get into the fourth. A 3-3 tie. The Cubs struck early. Darwin Barney with his first career home run, a 2-run blast. They would add another on a sac fly by Alfonso Soriano. But the Rockies came back in the second. A rough inning for Starlin Castro, who committed 3 errors. And the visitors tied it up. That's where we stand going into the fourth. Helton, Smith, and Lopez. Cubs have had their way with the Rockies dating back to October 1st of 06. Cubs have won 11 of 12 against the Rockies in this ballpark. Fastball, and Helton couldn't catch up to it. 532 career doubles. He is now 2 away from tying Lou Gehrig for 30th on the all-time doubles list. As you can imagine, Helton holds many Rockies all-time offensive records. I'm guessing most of them he has, and most that he might break in the future will have been held by Larry Walker.
Pretty good bet.
Sorry, Larry Walker, as the PA announcer used to say. The wind and the 2-2 pitch. Bounced foul on a curveball.
Boy, talk about a player that used to be fun to watch. Larry Walker. Man, if he decided he was going to take control of a ball game, there was nothing you could do to stop him. He could steal a base. He could beat you with his arm. He could beat you with his bat.
Another 2-2. Fastball is stalled at foul. Well, games played. Talking Rockies career list. Helton, Walker. Extra base hits. Helton, Walker. Total bases. Helton, Walker. Runs scored.
Let me guess.
Helton, Walker. Doubles. Helton, Walker. Triples. You ready for this? Walker's second, Helton is third. Guess who's the Rockies' all-time leader in triples?
Andres Galarraga.
Nafi Perez.
Really?
Yeah, with
Wow.
49.
How about that?
If I gave you 30 guesses, would you have said Nafi?
No.
I wouldn't either. 3-2. Home runs, Helton, Walker, and on a lot of these lists, third or fourth interchangeable. Vinny Castilla, Dante Bichette.
And Nafi Perez.
Jerk foul out of play. Trying to find stolen bases here. I don't know why I can't find it. Eric Young 180. Larry Walker 126. Todd Helton not on the list. And that will squeak through for a base hit.
A well-earned base hit that time for Todd Helton. Fell behind in the count, ended up a 10-pitch at bat and rolls one back up the middle of the field for a base hit. Breaking ball on the outside corner. Finds that hole back up the middle of the field. A lot of that diamond dry substance on the field, and Matt Garza having some issues with it getting stuck in his cleats.
Smith 1 for 1.
For a pitcher, especially the left foot for a right-handed pitcher, because that is your landing foot. That you want to make sure when you come down with that left foot that you've got a solid base, that your cleats are sticking in the ground, your foot's not sliding around, and you get some of that diamond dry stuff in your cleats, and it's like trying to pitch in a pair of loafers.
Very short lead by Helton. You talked about Helton when we were in Denver. He's a smart base runner, but doesn't run very fast. I'm sure speed has been compromised even more with the back problems and just age in general.
Early on in his career, he would pick his spots. If it was a situation that called for a stolen base, he would lull a pitcher to sleep over there at first base. He'd take a very short lead off and just kind of casually walk towards second base as the pitcher was delivering the ball, and he would pick his spots and just keep on going, take off for second base. He never stole a lot of bases in one season. You see 36 out of 63.
And his last steal came 5 years ago. He was good for about 5 to 7 per year. Let's see where Pitch Tracks had this one. Just a little low.
I really like the way Matt Garza got up on top of that fastball, though. Really drove it down toward that outside corner. We mentioned Matt's last start against the San Diego Padres when he pitched very effectively for 6 innings. He was throwing a lot of fastballs that day. However, he was throwing them across the top of the zone. Got a lot of swings and misses, a lot of fly balls off the bats of the San Diego Padres hitters. Today it looks like he's really trying to make a conscious effort to drive it down to the knees.
Cutter low and inside, and it's 3-2. See if Helton is going. There are no outs. Usually a better bet with 1 out, but we'll see. Garza's been, as we said, a great strikeout pitcher to start this season. Helton not running, and Smith fouls. Another 3-2, and he struck him out. Foul tipped into the glove. Number 5 for Matt.
Nothing tricky there. 94-mile-an-hour four-seam fastball just rushed it right past Seth Smith. Then on nights like this, which has been pretty much every night here at Wrigley Field, it's tough to stay loose as a hitter. Hitting is all about quickness, getting your bat into that hitting zone, trying to get the barrel on the ball, and I don't know any hitter that feels like they're quicker on a night like this than they are on a sunny, warm August afternoon. You feel like you're constantly fighting your body to try to be quick enough to catch up to that fastball. You can't get the same kind of grip on the bat because of the cold temperatures and the moisture. Yes, in general, the colder it gets, the more fastballs you should throw, in my estimation. That's obviously just a general rule, but especially when you have a good fastball like Matt Garza. Challenge these guys.
So far, the Rockies just 2 out of 15, although this could change as Marlon Byrd back, and he will make the catch. Make it 2 for 60 and Helton back to first.
And that's why you challenge more with your fastball on a night like this. Number one, it's tough to get that bat through the hitting zone quickly. And if you do, as Jose Lopez does right here, that ball is way gone on a no-win day at Wrigley. But this gets out there to the warning track. The wind pushes it back for Marlon Byrd, turns it into a relatively easy out on the warning track. Pitchers love that.
Here's Iannetta. Called strike. game-winning 3-run triple against the Cubs 10 days ago, and then hit a 2-run homer the next night.
Get off me, ball. That's the best heater we've seen in a game from Matt Garza, right in on the knuckles of Chris Iannetta. Get off. That's a self-defense swing. You start that bat and realize, man, I am so tardy, it's ridiculous. Just hope it doesn't hit me in the chest.
I thought he was great at Super Size Me. Doesn't he look like that guy, Morgan Spurlock? He ate nothing but McDonald's for a month. And he went around. 6 strikeouts for Matt Garza. 3-3 in the 4th. Great work as always by the Menards grounds crew here at Wrigley Field as they manicure the dirt between innings. Joe West just had a brief conversation with both managers, not sure why.
Just checking the weather radar, there is a big blob of green working its way up towards Chicago, probably an hour or more away. And of course, Joe West, being the crew chief, is in constant communication with Roger Baird and the grounds crew, who are closely monitoring the weather radar. It's just been an update for the Rockies manager.
Ball 1 on Fukudome, and once the first pitch is thrown, it is in the hands of the crew chief. In terms of any sort of delay. Yanked foul. Just foul. Lefties tomorrow night, Jorge De La Rosa and James Russell, and then Yolis Chacin against Casey Coleman on Wednesday afternoon, a game you can catch right here on Comcast Sportsnet. 12:30 pregame, 1:20 first pitch. Tapper foul. Pirates leading the Nationals 4-2. They're in the bottom of the 7th. Pittsburgh. Kosuke 3 for 3.
Kosuke just seeing the ball so well this year, staying back. His balance is good. We haven't seen any of those spinorama swings. hits the ball wherever it's pitched. Rogers tried to come in earlier in the at bat. He jerked it foul down the right field line, then tried to go away with an off-speed pitch, and Kosuke just shot it into left field for his third knock of the game.
Dodgers leading at Florida 4-2, 2 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th for the Dodgers. Andre Ethier with another hit, so that's what, 22 game hitting streak for Andre Ethier. Jerry Sands with 3 hits, and Ivan De Jesus Jr. is 2 for 3, playing second base tonight. News involving the Dodgers. Former Rangers president J. Thomas Schieffer hired by Bud Selig today to run the Dodgers. A few days after MLB grabbed control of the franchise from Frank McCourt, the owner. He is the younger brother of the Face the Nation host Bob Schieffer. And baseball told the Dodgers any expenditure of $5,000 or more has to be approved. Up and in on Barney. On a breaking ball, it's 1-1.
Lesson for you young players out there. Notice the way Darwin Barney turned away from that pitch. That's where all your protection is. The ear flap, the back of the helmet that protects the lower part of the back of your head. And if you do happen to get plunked, it's not going to hurt quite as much if you take it in the back as opposed to turning into that pitch and getting hit in the chest.
One bouncer to Lopez, and he'll just throw to first to get Barney. Couple of shots here to get the lead back with Castro coming up and a runner in scoring position. To Tulowitzki, and he'll just get the out at first. When Giovanni Soto wants Chicago's best prime steaks, he heads to Harry Carey's Italian Steakhouse in Chicago, Lombard or Rosemont. Call 773-HOLY-COW or visit harrycareys.com today. Cliff Lee and Ian Kennedy tonight in Arizona. The Phillies have rattled off 5 in a row. Roy Halladay tied his career high with 14 strikeouts on Sunday as they pulled off the 4-game sweep at San Diego. Diamondbacks have lost 4 straight. Braves swept the Giants in San Francisco, and they're now in San Diego. Derek Lowe and Dustin Mosley scheduled starters in that one. Dustin Mosley can't buy a break. He is 0-3 with a 1.40. What have they scored? 1 run any of his first 4 starts, and that was here at Wrigley Field last week.
That just tells you Dustin Mosley needs to work on his hitting. Somebody on that Padres team has to drive in a run for him.
Cubs beat them 2-1 in 11. Ball 4 as Baker takes his base. So he's been on all 3 times. Breaking ball called a strike. Another one, 0-2. Oh, Carlos Pena is very upset.
I don't think he's arguing the pitch. It looks like maybe he was asking for timeout and wasn't granted. It looked like a pretty good pitch. You see right there, well, I mean, that is plenty of time to give him timeout. I don't understand why home plate umpire Angel Hernandez did not grant the time right there. Of course, they don't have to, but you could clearly see there was a lot of time that elapsed. And Carlos was not granted the timeout. Get that one. I mean, we've seen a number of timeouts called just as a pitcher picks up his front foot to deliver the ball to home plate.
Two to Pena. Three the score. Cubs got the lead in the first, but the Rockies came back with 3 unearned tallies in the second. Fouled at the plate. Fukudome at third. Baker the runner at first. A swing and a miss. Strike 3 to end the inning. Cubs leave 2 more. Still tied at 3.
$653. If you're the 500th texter, you can win 5 $5 footlong subs from Subway.
Glenn and Bob and our Comcast Sportsnet crew from Wrigley Field. Cubs and the Rockies tied at 3. Pitcher Rogers will lead it off. Fowler and Herrera also due up. And here we go. Called strike. Bunted by Rogers. Barehanded, and the throw is late. Baker did all he could. And Rogers, a former position player, showing some pretty good wheels after a nice bunt.
Just nearly a perfect bunt down that third baseline. We talked about the moisture that fell this afternoon. The grass has to be a little bit wet. You could see the odd angle. Jeff Baker came straight in and then kind of veered toward the foul line as he picked up that ball. Really made it an awkward across the body throw. And Rogers able to leg it out for a bunt hit.
Rogers' his second hit of the year. And Baker guarding against the bunt as Dexter Fowler takes ball one. Fowler has punched out twice swinging. Three and 0. Garza has done a good job against the top of this order. In fact, you go down the first four spots, they have combined to go 0 for 8, even though Tulowitzki reached on an error in the second. Taken all the way, 3 and 1. The day Fowler had against the Padres back on April 27th of 09, as he tied a modern day rookie record with 5 stolen bases. Last year he led the majors with 14 triples.
Well, he definitely has the speed to leg out a triple and plays in a great home ballpark that surrenders a lot of triples.
This year it's been the doubles, 9 of them. That leads the National League. Three-two pitch, ball 4. And the Rockies threatening here, 2 on, nobody out. This is a team that takes its share of walks, but that's only the first one given up by Garza tonight. Dust himself off.
He got a good look at it. It was headed right for his face, squared around very early. That can occasionally upset a pitcher on the mound. You're used to seeing that batter assume a natural batting stance, and when you see him square around like that, some guys have trouble finding the zone. They tend to look at the hitter rather than pick up their target. When in an obvious sacrifice bunt situation, the general consensus is you throw a high fastball, hoping to get the batter to pop the ball in the air.
Threw it away and into the stands. Garza slamming his hand down to the grass. Obviously a wet ball. And the Rockies get the lead on the Cubs' 4th error of the night.
Looked like Garza hurried that throw a little more than he had to. And that wasn't even close to the base down there. Darwin Barney covering as Pena was charging from first base. Looked like Jeff Baker may have had a little better angle on that ball, but either he didn't call off his pitcher or Garza didn't hear him, went ahead and made the play himself and threw it down the right field line.
So now he has to regroup. Second and third, and the big guys coming up: Gonzalez, Tulowitzki, and Helton. Gonzalez now is 0 for his last 19, including the 0 for 2 tonight. Rockies leading for the first time tonight. Well, the other disturbing trend for some of the Cubs starters, and really the top guys, is the big inning. Zambrano gave up 5 yesterday. Ryan Dempster's had some issues with that crooked number. And Matt Garza here could be staring at another one if he doesn't get it back together quickly.
Had such good command through the first 4 innings of this ball game when he struck out 6 Rockies and did not walk a batter. Really struggling to find the zone here in the 5th.
There's a strike. Cubs came in tied for the 4th most errors in the National League with 16, but now they have 20. So depending on what happens elsewhere, they could be in the top 2 in a category you don't want to lead. Errors made. Big swing and a miss. 3-2 on Gonzalez. Tulowitzki on deck.
Like a 3-1 slider that time from Garza.
Way out of the strike zone.
Yeah, it looks like Carlos Gonzalez is just swinging at the arm action right now. I don't think he's seeing pitches at all.
High chopper, that'll make it 5-3 as Barney gets the out. It's a 2 for 1. Gonzalez was not just trying to move the runners up, but that's what he does, with Fowler scoring and Herrera now at third.
Now with the middle infielders playing back, all you have to do is hit a ground ball and get it past the pitcher's mound to drive that guy home from third base. And as you said, a 2 for 1, because now the Rockies have a runner at third base with 1 out in the inning.
And not really fun for the infielders here, but Cubs don't have a lot of choices. Troy Tulowitzki was hitting lasers all over the place in batting practice, batting with the infield in. I don't know how comfortable you were when the opposing team's cleanup man was at the plate and you were standing at third about 87 feet from home plate.
To answer your question, I wasn't comfortable when I was playing back. But yeah, it's a dicey proposition, especially for the guys on the left side, because when Tulowitzki pulls the ball, he usually puts a pretty good charge on it.
Castro down to his knees, the throw right in time. Nicely done. Ball was hit hard right at the Cubs shortstop, and they get Herrera at the plate.
Now Herrera going on contact. That ball hit hard. A nice play by Castro to stay in front of that. We've been talking about the wet grass in the infield. He didn't want to take any chances that was going to skip through into the outfield, and Giovanni Soto said, no, you don't. That's my plate.
Tulowitzki takes off, and Garza will tag him out. They do get a couple and now lead 5-3. All right, Dave, thanks very much. The Cubs 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. They have left 8 on through the first 4 innings, and that's been another trend the Cubs would like to reverse.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've got a lot of guys at the top of the order that are getting on base with amazing regularity. Unfortunately, some of the guys in the middle of the lineup whose job it is to drive them in have yet to get untracked with the bat. So, hopefully that's a trend that will reverse, and hopefully the defense tightens up a little bit as well.
That's your favorite Archie Bell and the Drells would say, tighten up.
Tighten up. Houston, Texas. Not only sing, but they dance just as good as they walk.
The Rockies have 5 runs on 3 hits. 4 of the 5 runs have been unearned because of 4 Cub errors. Back to the pitcher, backhanded by Rogers as he lollipops over to Helton for the out. Bird retired. The second time he's gotten the leadoff man in the first 5 innings. The Rockies, by the way, are 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. It's because of those errors on runs to score. Oh, 1 to Soriano, pulled on the ground, picked up by Lopez.
Hey fans, don't miss your chance to get the Best Buy pack at Wrigley Field. 4 tickets, 4 drinks, 4 hot dogs starting at just $80 for the Central Division matchups against the Reds and the Cardinals, as well as this series with the World Series champion Giants. For more details and to purchase your Best Buy pack, visit Cubs.com/Best Buy pack.
Giovanni Soto working with Marty Peavy, Cubs roving catching instructor, who was in town for the duration of this homestand. Marty did great work with all the catchers in spring training, works with Cubs catchers throughout the system. Noticed a little something with Gio's feet, and as Mike Quaddy said, more maintenance than anything, but Marty will be with the club at least once a month and more often if needed. A very well respected catching instructor. Swing and a miss. That will end the inning. Cubs go down quietly for the first time. A 10-pitch inning for Rogers. More on defense. The Cubs have not played very good defense tonight, but this was a nice play. Castro firing a strike to Giovanni Soto as they get the runner at the plate.
Nice play
Jonathan
on
Herrera.
Excuse me, Len. Nice play on both ends. Starlin Castro to make sure that ball didn't get through. Made an accurate throw to Giovanni Soto. Gio used his shin guards to protect himself against the sliding runner and made like a wall back there. Don't let him in.
Todd Helton will lead off for the Rockies. 10-pitch at bat, resulting in a single in the fourth. Well, if I told you when you didn't know the score that Matt Garza would be holding the Rockies to 3 for 20 on the night with 6 strikeouts and only 1 walk, you'd say, well, Cubs are probably leading. That is not the case.
You're looking at all important last column of a line score. Errors. That'll usually play as much a part in the score of the ball game as anything else.
If you've made 4 and the other team has made 0, that's not a good sign.
Nope.
Final in New York, the White Sox held on to beat the Yankees 2-0. Phil Humber was excellent. 7 innings, only 1 hit. Walked 2, struck out 5. He combined with Sale and Santos on the 3-hit shutout. Sergio Santos got the save, an inning and a third. He got the final 4 outs. It's his second career save, I believe. Line foul. To say the White Sox needed that game would be an understatement. They had lost 10 of their previous 11.
And when you've lost a lot of ball games recently late, when your tail end of your bullpen can't hold a lead, those seem to sting a lot more. So to have Sale and Santos come in and slam the door the way they did today, I'm sure that had to feel very good for Ozzie and the White Sox.
3-2 to Todd Helton. You kind of feel like if Garza and Helton matched up 10 times, it would go 3-2 about 8 of those at bats.
Garza would probably hit his pitch count after the 6th at bat. The thing about Todd Helton is he gets a lot of hits early in the sequence, first, second pitch, but once he gets to 2 strikes, you're going to have to battle to get that 3rd strike or to get him out.
Fly ball to left. Into the corner goes Soriano, and he has it for the out. Seth Smith practiced a lot as a quarterback at Ole Miss, but he never took a snap in 3 seasons because Eli Manning was his starter. He played freshman football in high school, and the one thing you realize if you play any football is you practice 100 times more than you actually play in a game. And to never get a snap would be a bit maddening. He did get into a game as a wide receiver during his junior year. Gio wants it low and in. That's where it is. Swing and a miss.
Most lefties like that ball down and in, so if you can throw something with movement in that area, and that time a little slider down and in, gave the appearance of a strike. By the time Seth Smith got the bat to the spot, the ball was gone. There it is again.
Right back to it as Garza picks up his 7th strikeout. Lopez hit a ball pretty well his last time up. It's caught on the warning track out in deep left center by Marlon Byrd. Left-hander Matt Reynolds is up for the Rockies from St. Charles, Illinois. Probably has some family and friends in the ballpark tonight. Garza has hit the 100 pitch mark, or minus pitch count. Bounced foul.
I mentioned Garza with a 119 maximum this year. That came in 6 innings against the Rockies in Colorado.
Another fly to center. Bird will come in and make the grab. Third 1-2-3 for Garza, who trails this one 5-3. A hearty congratulations to Sean and Sarah Marshall, who welcomed Brody Sean Marshall into the world last Thursday on the off day. And like 5% of the babies born, Brody was born on his due date. 6 pounds 4 ounces, 19.5 inches. So congrats to the Marshalls. Mama's doing well.
Good to
Baby's
hear.
doing well. And as Sean said, after a doubleheader and on the off day. That's solid. During the baseball season, it's kind of hard to plan it, isn't it?
Yeah. And to that end, baseball has a new maternity leave, so to speak, for players. If if a player's wife is about to give birth, they can leave the team and be replaced on the roster. I'm not sure what the minimum and maximum amount is, but that's something new this year. Somebody took advantage of it just a week or so ago.
Right. One and two on the pinch hitter Reed Johnson, who's batting for Matt Garza.
Oh, I think it was Colby Lewis, starting pitcher for the Texas Rangers. It was the first major league player to take advantage of the, I guess we'll call it paternity leave.
Right. I was getting the stats as you see hard thrower Matt Lindstrom up for the Rockies. You know, getting the weight and everything, and I figured Sean would say 6 pounds 4 ounces, 4'8". Because he's 6'7". Good chance Brody's going to be a tall kid as Johnson got hit by a pitch. And the tying run will come to the plate.
Came on a breaking ball, big curveball that just never took the break. Reed Johnson wears that protection on the left elbow, and that's right where it got him.
It's nothing new for Johnson. It's the 103rd time in his career he's been hit by a pitch. He's been hit at least 20 times in 2 different seasons. Kosuke, red hot, takes ball 1. He's 3 for 3 with a run scored. He and his wife welcomed in their second child recently. Up the middle, he's 4 for 4. Johnson's going to have to stop at second. Cubs are in business.
Well, as Darwin Barney makes his way to the plate, it's time for our Coors Light freeze cam. Darwin Barney with his first major league home run to left field with a teammate on board, tucked it into the basket, and a little smile on his face as he rounded first base. Yeah, you earned it, kid. Freeze cam is brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Two on, nobody out. Rockies have their bunt coverage on.
And if he indeed does bunt, Darwin Barney wants to put it down that third baseline. You see Todd Helton coming into your picture there. He is charging hyper aggressively from first base. I've seen Todd Helton in this situation field bunts on the third base side of the field and throw to the third baseman for the force out.
Could see that coming. He's showing bunt so early.
Well, for a guy that handles the bat the way Darwin Barney does, it's a perfect time to use that slash. You've got Helton sprinting in from first base, Herrera breaking to cover the bag at first, the shortstop Tulowitzki standing on the bag at second. There are holes everywhere in that infield when the pitch is delivered.
Came back up, hit the bat, carom foul.
The idea is to bunt the top half of the baseball. That time Darwin just barely caught the top of the ball.
Pops it up. Infield fly rule in effect. Tulowitzki for the out.
The holes are on the ground, however. If you're going to do that slug bunt, you really need to hit the ball on the ground.
And with that, Jim Tracy's going to make a pitching change, and because the pitcher is due up second in the 7th, he'll make a double switch. So it's the Verizon call to the pen. Fireballing Matt Lindstrom coming on. We'll be back. The Verizon call to the pen brings on Matt Lindstrom. 2 on, 1 out in the 6th, and Starlin Castro coming up, and Lindstrom, former Florida Marlin and Houston Astro. Ty Wigginton will come in and hit in the 9th spot. He's in for Jose Lopez. Pitcher spot now 7th, as Lopez made the final out of the 6th.
Lindstrom with a really good fastball in the mid to upper 90s, throws a hard slider, a very rare occasional split-fingered fastball, but he's going to live and die with that heater.
Johnson and Fukudome are the runners, and it's way up for ball 1.
Perhaps just a little overamped coming into the ball game here. A guy that has a really good fastball. Almost airmailed that one to the backstop.
How did Iannetta grab it? The wind has shifted, now blowing right to left and maybe even out toward left field. We started with the wind blowing straight in from center onto the northeast. Two and one. One thing it does tell you is we may have a little rain at some point here tonight.
Well, the prediction I heard before the ball game was scattered light showers throughout the game, and then after the ball game was over, they were expecting another big storm to come through. Hopefully it'll wait long enough.
2-1 to Castro. Good eye. 3-1. Baker on deck.
And you are almost guaranteed to get another fastball here from Matt Lindstrom. The key is to get a pitch in the strike zone. Make sure you're nice and quick with your swing.
To the shortstop, Tulowitzki. It'll go 6. That's it.
Nice.
Tulowitzki with an awkward off-balance back leg throw. He has one of the best arms in baseball, but he didn't really throw it very hard. And that'll keep the inning alive.
Great hustle by Starlin Castro that time. Hopefully he didn't hurt himself. This is an odd-looking play here by Tulo. Easy shovel onto Herrera, and that's an inning-ending double play, but not quite sure why he made the throw he did. You see Starlin slipped right off the top of the base with his left foot. He appears to be okay. A little shaken up, but no damage. Make it hurt.
The only thing I can wonder here is maybe Fukudome was right in his throwing line, and that's why he kind of made that awkward toss the way he did.
You know, I could see if Tulowitzki fielded that ball cleanly and was able to stay on his feet running towards second base, but once he went to the ground, I was shocked to see him get back up and take it himself at second base.
Baker late, 95 on that heater.
One more look at that potential double play. Yeah, right there when he had to extend, that just threw off the rhythm of the play. Might have had some dirt on his hand from going to the ground the way he did, but just had absolutely nothing on that throw.
1-1 to Baker is outside. A slip by Lindstrom. 2-1. If the inning continues, they have the lefty up again with Pena on deck. And remember, Aramis Ramirez is available off the bench here tonight. I don't know if Mike Quade would consider using Ramirez this early. Doesn't look like he's going to hit in this inning. Old foul on the ground.
Well, that would make an easy switch as well. I mean, should we get to Carlos Pena's spot and should Jim Tracy go to the lefty, you could conceivably hit Ramirez for Pena, leave him in the ball game at third, and slide Jeff Baker across the diamond to first base. But as you said, it doesn't look like he's preparing for a pinch hit at bat.
Swing and a miss to end the inning. Cubs strand 2, 5-3 Colorado after 6. Samardzija is in and has put together a nice stretch here lately. Back-to-back wins in his last 2 outings.
Extending his scoreless streak to 7 innings, going all the way back to April 12th. And Mike Quade talked about it after his last outing. It's all about throwing strikes for Jeff Samardzija. When he's around that strike zone, hitters don't usually put the bat on him. Occasionally he will get into some trouble walking batters, but lately he's been throwing a lot of strikes with both his sinking fastball and a much improved slider.
They'll face Iannetta, Wigginton, and Fowler. Rockies leading 5-3. The line's on the starters. Garza, 6 innings, 3 hits, 5 runs, 1 earned. He walked 1 and struck out 7. Rogers, 5 1/3, 8 hits, 3 runs, all earned. He walked 4, struck out 3, and gave up the home run to Barney. Technically a quality start for Garza because only 1 earned run. Swing and a miss. Cubs 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. They've left 10 on base. Slider strike, 1-2. Cincinnati leading at Milwaukee 7-1 in the bottom of the 7th. Bronson Arroyo has allowed 1 unearned run through 6. Chris Narveson got knocked around, 7 runs and just 2 1/3. Jay Bruce with a 2-run homer, his 3rd. Everybody, including the pitcher, with a hit in the Reds lineup, except for the shortstop, Paul Yanis. Check swing and a bouncer back to Samardzija. He'll get the out. Cubs Destinations, a preferred baseball trip provider of the team, gives fans the most unique behind-the-scenes VIP game experiences available. Each package includes great tickets, first-class hotel accommodations, a special Cubs gift bag, a tour of the ballpark, and a private meet and greet with a current Cubs player. For more information, visit Cubs.com. Coach Bob McMillan and the kicker, Chris Gold from the Chicago Rush, will conduct the 7th inning stretch tonight. Chris's brother is Robbie, the Bears kicker. Wigginton fouls off 1-2. His first at bat here tonight. Final in Pittsburgh, Paul Maholm over John Lannon, 4-2 Pirates over the Nationals. Joel Hanrahan got his 6th save. Swing and a miss. 2 down.
Giovanni Soto with a little reminder to Jeff Samardzija. Before he called for that pitch, he put one hand on each shin guard, trying to tell Samardzija, don't be so fine. Throw the ball over the middle of the plate. Let the movement get the batter to swing at that pitch. Good slider that time. Started right in the middle of the plate. Ended off the plate away.
I don't think you'll be too surprised to hear this, Bob, but Jonathan Broxton gave it up tonight. Looked a little shaky yesterday here. Gave up 2 runs in the ninth, and the Marlins beat the Dodgers 5-4. Although I think there was an error in that inning. Those were unearned runs. Jamie Carroll with an error. It was Omar Infante who had the game-ending RBI single. Yeah, there was. 9th inning error. That did not help out the Dodger closer.
I think we were both a little shocked to see how much his velocity was down when we saw him pitch against the Cubs. He was a guy that was just flat overpowering with his fastball the last couple of years. Well,
that one clubbed deep right center for Dexter Fowler, and it's on the track as Kosuke could not haul it in. He got to the spot, and Fowler will end up at third base. That ball was up in the air for a long time. So Fowler with his first triple of the year.
A surprising pop for Dexter Fowler. You mentioned the wind has shifted a little bit. Maybe didn't affect that ball as much as it might have earlier in the game. But as you said, Fukudome looked like he got to the spot, and as he reached his glove out there, he just missed the ball.
Even with 2 outs, corner men in, and as Herrera shows bunt. Foul pop out of play. Out in the left center, Soriano will get to the spot. The Chicago Rush with our 7th inning stretch.
Today's guest conductors for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Chicago Rush coach Bob McMillan and kicker Chris Cole.
All right, Cubs fans, let me hear ya. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. So let's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs.
3. Great to have Coach Bob McMillan from the Chicago Rush. The kicker, Chris Gold, brother of Robbie, who was up here last week. Nicely done, guys. Great to see you.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Appreciate you guys having us up here.
Are there more Golds that are going to come sing the rest of the summer? Is it a family affair?
I don't know. I got a sister, but I don't know if she'll make it up here.
Matt Lindstrom is still working for the Rockies as Pena hits it foul off the catcher. Coach, you're from Oak Park, right? You a Cub fan growing up?
I've been a Cub fan my whole life. Born and raised in Oak Park. I went to high school in Elmhurst. Now I live in Naperville, so I've been living here my whole life and still waiting for that magical year for the Cubs to go out and win the whole thing.
There's a 1-1. That one hit well, but Dexter Fowler is there to make the catch. And a number retirement ceremony coming up, right?
Yeah, Saturday they're retiring my jersey. It's a tremendous honor. You know, the Chicago Rush have been around for 10 years now, and for myself, me being the first player to go up in the rafters at the Allstate Arena is just an unbelievable experience. It's an honor, especially for all the great players that have played here in Chicago. And you know, that whole banner, there's going to be a piece of every player in that thing, because if it wasn't for those guys, I wouldn't be able to be up there right now.
Well put, Coach.
Here's Marlon Byrd, and that's outside. Chris, I'm sure you talk with your brother about kicking a lot.
Yeah, we talk about just about every game that I kick and every game that he kicks. We go back and review the video and make sure our technique's there, and we're all having fun.
Bird with a ground ball base hit past a diving Tulowitzki and into left. Boy, the Arena League, I mean, there's not much room out there. It's fast-paced, isn't it?
Oh, extremely. It's a 50-yard field. It's a lot of fun. It's a high-scoring game. You know, energy all the time. There's always things for fans to be able to enjoy the game, especially timeouts and halftime. There's always something going on, some kind of giveaway, so it's a lot of fun. It's family. It's affordable. It's a great time. If you got nothing to do on the weekends, it's a lot of fun.
And this is a great football town. We know that. Here's a pitch to Soriano. Hit foul out of play.
I imagine for some of the players that come from the NFL to the Arena League, it's quite a shock going to the smaller field. As you said, the much faster paced game, a lot more scoring.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of the NFL guys are used to 3 plays and then getting off the field and waiting for the punt team to go out there. In our game, you got to be able to cover on kicks. You got to be able to do kick return. You're playing, most of the game out there. So it's definitely a big shock for everybody. But they get used to it and they have a great time. So. Come on, get there, Marlon.
Bird caught up. He is tagged out. That's a double play, and inning quickly comes to an end. Coach McMillan, Chris, thanks so much for the time. Good luck this year.
Oh, thank you guys very much for having us. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Sportsnet, the Cubs and Rockies will finish up this series, and for the Cubs, the 9-game homestand. Coverage starts at 12:30 with Chevy Cubs pregame live. Don't miss Cubs and Rockies Wednesday at 12:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend, Jhoulys Chacín, Casey Coleman. The pitching matchup. Paid crowd tonight, 37,417. Everybody bundled up on this cool, damp night. Samardzija with a first pitch strike to Gonzalez. Getting late, only 6 outs to work with offensively, and it's imperative here that Samardzija in the bullpen keep the Rockies right where they are. Jeff gets a sign from his catcher Soto on the 2-1 pitch. Gonzalez went around. Well, he is just in between.
I think back to spring training, Len, and you can clearly see the progression at the beginning of camp as you move through the middle of camp and then get ready for opening day. Guys narrow their strike zone down. Early in camp, you see guys chasing a lot of pitches out of the zone. I don't think Cargo ever got to the place where he narrowed his strike zone down this year. Swinging at everything. Just a high fastball up and out of the zone, and then a poor slider that time from Samardzija, but still gets a swing and a miss from Carlos Gonzalez. It's a shoulder high slider.
The Rockies have 5 runs, and they really haven't done much at the plate. I mean, they have 4 hits. Only 1 extra base hit. That was a 2-out triple by Fowler in the 7th, but wasted because Herrera then flied out to end the inning. Cubs defense has helped them out too much. There's a bunt. Samardzija makes the catch. And then tried to go around the horn and threw it away. That's all right.
It's the best time to make an error after the play's over. You know, you could almost make an argument that the biggest hit of the game for the Rockies was a bunt single by Esmail Rogers, the pitcher.
I agree. It was a leadoff hit in the 5th inning. A strike to Todd Helton. Well, we look ahead. Soto, a pinch hitter, and Fukudome due up in the 8th. Rafael Betancourt, the likely pitcher for the Rockies, bottom of this inning. There's Betancourt. Cue shot to the second baseman Barney, and the inning is over. Samardzija with 2 scoreless frames tonight. 5-3. Cap, thank you. Rafael Betancourt on to work. He is a strike thrower, and he has 10 punch-outs already in under 10 innings.
Fastball, slider, changeup pitcher. Mostly fastballs and sliders. This average fastball sits right at 91 miles an hour.
Last year in 62 1/3 innings, he walked 8 guys and struck out 89. He's put together a very nice career 3.21 ERA. Spent a lot of time with the Cleveland Indians. He's been a Rocky since '09. And his first pitch, Giovanni Soto off the end of the bat, rolls out to Todd Helton. He'll bring up the pinch hitter Blake DeWitt, batting for Samardzija. A fine outing by Jeff Samardzija. Cubs in danger here if they don't come back late of dropping to 2 games under 500 for the first time. In fact, getting 2 games away from 500 in either direction. They have been within a game of the break-even mark for the first 21 games of the season. Like a good one, but called a ball outside. 1-0. DeWitt 3 for 10 as a pinch hitter this season. It's really been his main job at this point.
16 at bats on the season. 10 of those have come off the bench.
Kosuke with 4 hits. He's on deck. Called strike 3 for the second out.
Power fastball driving it toward that outside corner. Pitch tracks may have had it a little bit off the corner, but too close to take with 2 strikes.
Kosuke with his 4th career 4-hit game. That ties a career best. First time he's had 4 hits since June 20th of '09 against the Cleveland Indians. Got it on this date for you, Bob. The White Stockings made their National League debut on April 25th, 1876. 4-0 win over the Louisville Grays. They would be known as the Colts and Orphans before becoming the Cubs in 1903.
Grays had a good team that year, too.
You remember that club?
Saw one earlier. Let me reread this just to make sure. 1952, after homering in his major league debut 2 days ago, Hoyt Wilhelm hits a triple in his second major league at bat. That's pretty impressive for any pitcher. He went on to play 21 more years and never hit another homer or triple. that one triple took it out of him. He just decided, I'm not running 3 anymore.
432 more at bats. Never did it again. It was on this date, 1976, when Rick Monday became a national hero, took away the American flag, which was about to be set on fire by a couple of trespassers in the outfield. Monday was a Cub at the time. Not sure if it was a Monday, even though this anniversary is a Monday. 3-2 at 2 outs here in the 8th. The pitch. 5 hits, a new career high for Fukudome. All singles tonight.
Just a great approach against a hard thrower. They stick the bat out there, poke the ball to the opposite field, and run on down to first base. Nice defensive 2-strike swing, produces his 5th hit of the game.
He has half the Cubs' hits. Cubs haven't scored since they got the 3 in the first inning. Kosuke has out hit the Rockies tonight. They have 4 hits. He has 5. I think he's comfortable at Wrigley this year, Bob. He's 20 for 38 at home. As a leadoff hitter, he's 17 for 32.
Just crazy numbers for Kosuke in the first month of the season. Going back to the 08 season, he hit 327. In 09, 338. Last year, 344. And with the 5 hits tonight, his batting average stands at 489 for the month.
Pop up right side, and it's Jonathan Herrera to end the inning. We're going to head off to the 9th. It's the Rockies 5 and the Cubs 3. Kosuke Fukudome, our GMC player of the game. 5 at bats, 5 hits, and a run. Unfortunately, the Cubs trail this one 5-3. It's Marcos Mateo. The pitch here in the 9th.
Mateo has shown flashes of brilliance this year. Other times he has really struggled to find the strike zone. He could really use a nice clean inning here in the top half of the 9th.
Mike Quaddy likes to kind of pencil in lineups a few days in advance. And I would guess he did not have Fukudome in the lineup tomorrow night against the left-hander De La Rosa. I don't know if the 5-for-5 would change his mind or not, but we'll find out tomorrow. I can see the raindrops are falling.
I think unless De La Rosa shows up and starts pitching right-handed, we'll probably see somebody else in right field tomorrow.
You know, and you bring up a good point. Sometimes when a guy like Kosuke is as hot as he is, if you put him in a bad matchup, you don't want to derail everything.
No.
In one night.
He's in a great spot right now mechanically at the plate. Obviously mentally he's in a real good spot.
Ground ball to Barney.
Well, a lot of times back in the day when there were more knuckleball pitchers in the major leagues, a lot of managers would rest their best hitters against the knuckleball. Because it's such an odd pitch, you don't see it very often. It forces you to completely change your approach at the plate, and a lot of managers didn't want to mess with their best hitters, which is why I got a lot of starts against knuckleball pitchers.
And let me guess, like side armors, when a knuckleballer threw a pitch, you swung it.
Swing at it. Yeah.
So you faced Phil Niekro, Joe Niekro, a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we were told early on rain probably will come back around 10 o'clock, and it's almost 10 o'clock. Although I do have to correct you on one word you used that all professional and even amateur meteorologists would point out. You use the word prediction, and any meteorologist would say it's not a prediction, Bob, it's a forecast.
I stand corrected.
Apparently there's a huge difference. We do not predict the weather, we forecast the weather. Inside.
But if you know for sure what's going to happen, then you can predict it.
I guess they would tell you they don't ever know for sure, but they were right on tonight. Spilborghs takes the walk. Take the Cubs with you wherever you go this season. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Cubs game live or on demand on your computer and your favorite devices. Visit Cubs.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere. Runner at first, 1 out. And it's a catcher, Chris Iannetta, who is 0 for 3. Ball got out of the Rockies bullpen, so a brief pause in the action. Pitch out, almost got away from Soto. Toronto beat Texas tonight 6-4 behind Kyle Drabek, who's 2-0. John Roush got his 4th save. Colby Lewis took the loss. Corey Patterson, Jose Bautista, Juan Rivera all went deep for the Blue Jays. Bautista with 8. So back in that major league lead. He's hitting .364 on the year. Well, we saw a lot of Jose Bautista as a Pittsburgh Pirate, and he's not the same hitter he was then.
Boy, there was no way to forecast what he was going to do as a member of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Well played. 54 home runs last year.
He's a nice utility player. You know, you could bounce him around the diamond, play different positions, give you a good professional at bat, but there was never an indication that he was going to be that kind of a home run hitter.
Two and two. We're in the ninth in Milwaukee, 7-3 Cincinnati. It was 7-0 at one point earlier tonight. Arizona leading Philly 3-0 in the top of the sixth. Home runs by Chris Young and Gerardo Parra. Both off Cliff Lee. He has been human so far this year through 5 innings. His season ERA is 4.15. He trails Ian Kennedy tonight. Runner goes on the 3-2 and Iannetta fouls back. Padres have scored twice tonight for Dustin Mosley. They have a 2-1 lead over the Braves in the 4th inning. Ryan Ludwig with his 3rd homer of the year. Jason Hayward with his 6th for Atlanta. Struggling Brad Hopp is 2 for 2. Runner goes again and another foul. Angels 3, Athletics nothing. They're in the top of the 4th. Gio Gonzalez and Jared Weaver in that one. Foul tip, strike 3. Throw hits the runner. I think Gio might be asking for some interference on the part of the batter. It's a stolen base for Spilborghs.
We'll get another look at it as Iannetta swings through the pitch. Yeah, he hit Gio in the back with his backswing, and he made contact right there as he threw to second base. That should be a strikeout at home plate and an out at second base for batter interference.
Yeah, Mike Quade came out to argue briefly. We've seen that call with a lot less contact.
Oh, yeah. And usually umpires love to make that call. It's kind of an obscure one. You don't see it happen a lot over the course of a season, but usually when there's contact, it is always called.
Blocked by Soto. Yeah. I don't know what batter interference is if that call isn't made.
He hit him with the bat, and then Gio made contact with his throwing arm on the shoulder of Iannetta as he kind of leaned out across the plate after swinging and missing.
At the very least, we could have seen the call we saw earlier on the homestand, which is not interference, but inadvertent contact sending the runner back and a dead ball.
Watch the barrel of the bat will catch him in the back, and then contact is made on the follow through right there.
1, 2.
Yeah. I guess that's that human element I keep hearing about that everybody is so enamored with. It's just about the perfect strike right there. Very corner bottom edge of the strike zone.
Bob, Peter Borges leading off for the Angels, hitting .307. Noticed as I looked at their box score, we've been keeping an eye on the young center fielder. Saw him make a great leaping catch the other night. And he's flanking a couple of good guys in the outfield. Former center fielders Torrey Hunter and Vernon Wells.
Yeah. When they move
a little intimidating.
When they move a couple of Gold Glovers to make room for you in center field, you better make all the catches. I talked to an American League scout down in the Cactus League that said he thinks Peter Borges is the best defensive center fielder he's ever seen.
Born in Park Ridge.
It's pretty high praise for a young man just in his second season at the major league level. No choice but to reach across and go with the backhand pick like a first baseman that time.
Swing and a miss on a slider. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. The Cubs trail by 2. Tonight on Comcast Sportsnet, 6:30 on the main channel. Watch the Bulls and Pacers Game 5 on CSN Plus. Blackhawks and Canucks Game 7 kicks off at 8:30, and on CSN Plus 2, the White Sox and Yankees will get underway at 6. 3 games, 1 night on Comcast Sportsnet, only here on CSN. Fans' best friend. Rain falling. We're in the bottom of the ninth. 5-3 Colorado. And right-hander Houston Street is 7 for 7 in save opportunities. That leads the National League to 7 saves. He's been at a 90% clip since 2009. 62 out of 69.
He does a lot of things out there on the rubber that you wouldn't teach a young pitcher to do, but it certainly works well for Houston Street. You'll see a fastball, slider, changeup combination. He starts in the middle of the rubber. He'll go way to the first base side as he takes a step back. Come back to the middle of the rubber. Most pitching coaches like their guys to stay balanced wherever you start on that rubber. Try to keep your upper body over your legs, but Houston Street with a lot of movement before picking up that front leg and delivering the ball home.
From Austin, Texas, Went to the University of Texas and was the American League Rookie of the Year with Oakland in 2005. 2-0. A base runner, and the tying run comes up. Rally cap time here in the ninth. Castro 0 for 4. Been a tough night for the 21-year-old who hasn't had many tough nights. 3 errors in the second inning. Those are washed rally caps the fans are wearing, just to be more specific. Great giveaway tonight. These are great caps. And they're washed. Fly ball right field. It'll be Seth Smith to make the catch. That ball was dipping and diving.
Oh, it was hit pretty well to right field, but that wind actually howling across now from right to left really knocked that one down. Smith had to come on several steps there at the very end to make the play.
Starlin Castro, if he doesn't get another at bat, will have gone hitless on consecutive days for the first time this season. Baker bunts, and it's foul. In fact, it'll only be the 6th time all year Castro would have gone without a hit. Pretty good deal the Rockies made with the A's. They got Street, Carlos Gonzalez, and left-hander Greg Smith in exchange for Matt Holliday back in November of 2008. They got a batting champ and a solid closer. Holliday's pretty good too, but the Rockies will say they were and are thrilled with that deal.
If there's any question about it, not taking anything at all away from Matt Holliday, but trade 1 for 2 plus, and the 2 are major contributors to your team. You have to say that was a good deal.
Slider low and outside. 1-2. Peña's on deck. Fog rolling in. Rain coming in. And here comes the 1-2 pitch. Fair ball. Tying run will come up. Baker's going to end up at second base with his 3rd hit tonight.
Real good night for Jeff Baker tonight. You mentioned the 3 base hits. He scored a run. He also drew a base on balls and has done it all against right-handed pitching tonight. This is just kind of an emergency swing on a borderline pitch and shoots it right down that first base line past a diving Todd Helton. The line moving. Carlos Peña with 4 previous at-bats against Houston Street. He does have 1 base hit. It was a home run.
Well, if he's going to hit a home run here, he better hit it to left or left center, because the way the wind is blowing right now in from right, it's going to be almost impossible. Tulowitzki playing almost directly behind Jeff Baker at second. The 4-seam grip. Street gets a sign from his catcher Iannetta. Cubs have out hit the Rockies 11-4, and they trail 5-3. 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. 11 stranded through 8 innings. And it's 2-0 on Pena.
Situation like this where a long ball could conceivably tie up the game, pitchers are told to pitch away from a hitter's strength. No question Carlos Pena is a dead pull hitter, so that would mean keep the ball away from him, force him to hit it to left field, but that's where you may get a little advantage from the wind.
And they are going away. Pena went after it.
The local knowledge is just stay away from a hitter's power if a long ball could tie or win the game. And Houston Street, everything away so far to Carlos Pena, which, as you mentioned a moment ago, is probably the only place you can hit a home run right now would be to left field.
Two and two.
It looks like Houston Street's having some trouble seeing the signs. If you watch Chris Iannetta, normally a catcher keeps his hand very close so nobody can see his signs, but on that last pitch he was hanging his fingers way down low. Occasionally you can see those from the dugout.
We saw Street earlier ask for time, and he walked halfway to the home plate, I think, to tell him, I can't see what you're doing back there. 3 and 2. These are great fans. They have stuck it out through the rain and the cold tonight. And they're on their feet. Swing and a miss for out number 2.
For me, Len, that's one thing that sets Houston Street apart from other closers. A lot of guys come in the game and they overpower you with fastballs, or they have a split finger, or Trevor Hoffman's changeup, but Houston Street can beat you with 3 pitches.
Bird with 2 hits and a walk. Hanging slider inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Baker getting a good lead at second, but his run does not matter. The guy at the plate is the only guy that really counts at this point, with 2 outs and trailing by 2. Swing and a miss on a slider. But the funny thing is, that first pitch that was called a ball, if you told Marlon Byrd he's going to hang a slider, it's going to be right there, he probably hits it out for a game-tying homer, but you're not expecting a pitch like that to start an at-bat. The next one was a nasty slider, and he missed it. One and 2. And as you say, now he's got some options.
Against a lot of closers, you could narrow it down to 2 pitches, and even if you're a guess hitter, you're going to guess right half the time. For a lot of closers, you can narrow it down to 1 pitch and think more location, but with Houston Street, there's no way to predict or forecast what may be coming.
Tulowitzki will field, throw, and for the first time this season, the Cubs are 2 games under 500. The Rockies beat them tonight. A weird line score as they're out hit 11-4, but they beat the Cubs 5-3 because the home team made 4 pretty critical errors. So that's going to do it for our game coverage. Stick around. Coors Light post-game live is next. The final, once again, the Rockies 5.